Landman Season 2 is clearly struggling with a major identity crisis, and the cracks are becoming harder to ignore with every new episode. What once felt like a confident, character-driven drama about power, oil, and the personal cost of leadership is now pulled in too many directions at once, unsure of what kind of show it actually wants to be. The result isn't just uneven storytelling, it's a season that often feels like it's arguing with itself. In Season 1, Landman knew exactly what it was. It was a grounded, adult drama centered on Tommy Norris navigating the brutal realities of the oil industry while juggling family, ego, and responsibility. The tone was sharp, cynical, and intimate. The stakes were high, but focused. Everything revolved around the land, the deals, and the human cost of chasing profit. Season 2, however, seems desperate to be everything at once: a corporate thriller, a family drama, a romance-heavy soap, and a disaster series, without committing fully to any of them. One of the biggest contributors to this identity crisis is the show's refusal to decide who its main story actually belongs to. Is this still Tommy's story? Or is it now Cammy's? Or Gallino's? Or M-Tex as an abstract entity? Season 2 keeps shifting perspective without properly anchoring the audience. One episode suggests Cammy is the driving force of the narrative, making bold decisions that could cost her everything. The next pulls focus back to Tommy's personal unraveling. Then Gallino appears as a looming savior-villain hybrid, and suddenly the show feels like it's about corporate manipulation instead of personal consequence. That constant shift weakens emotional investment. When viewers don't know whose journey they're supposed to follow, the stakes start to feel theoretical instead of personal. We're told M-Tex is in danger, but we're rarely allowed to sit with the emotional fallout of that danger long enough for it to land. Big decisions happen quickly, consequences are delayed or softened, and tension dissipates before it can fully develop. Romance is another area where Season 2 loses its footing. Relationships that should deepen character development instead feel like distractions. Rather than enhancing the core story, some romantic subplots pull attention away from the business and moral dilemmas that once defined the show. The balance between personal life and professional chaos is off, making certain scenes feel like they belong in a different series entirely. The offshore rig storyline is a perfect example of this confusion. On paper, it should be the most intense, high-stakes plot of the season, a literal and metaphorical ticking time bomb. But instead of anchoring the season, it often feels like a background problem that surfaces only when convenient. The show wants the spectacle and danger of an industrial disaster without fully committing to the long-term consequences such an event should carry. That hesitation undercuts the realism Landman once thrived on. Cammy's arc also reflects the season's uncertainty. She's positioned as a bold, decisive leader willing to take risks Tommy wouldn't, yet the show can't decide whether to frame her as visionary, reckless, or manipulated. Her partnership with Gallino is portrayed as both necessary and suspicious, but the narrative keeps hedging its bets instead of letting her choices land decisively. That ambiguity could be compelling, but only if it felt intentional. Right now, it feels like the show is afraid to commit to making her either right or wrong. Gallino himself embodies the identity crisis better than any other character. He's framed as M-Tex's potential savior, its most dangerous liability, and its last remaining option, sometimes all in the same episode. Instead of being a clearly defined antagonist or uneasy ally, he floats in narrative limbo. The audience is constantly told how powerful he is, but rarely shown consistent consequences of that power. The threat feels conceptual instead of immediate. Meanwhile, Tommy's role has become increasingly unclear. He's still the emotional core of the show, but Season 2 doesn't seem sure what to do with him. Is he a leader losing control? A landman refusing to let go of the past? A man slowly realizing he should never have been president? All of these ideas are present, but none are explored deeply enough. Tommy ends up reacting instead of driving the story, which is a sharp contrast from the decisive, flawed force he once was. This lack of clarity extends to the show's tone. Some episodes lean into quiet, character-driven drama. Others push heightened tension and near melodrama. The tonal shifts are jarring, making the season feel disjointed rather than layered. When a show doesn't know what emotional register it wants to live in, even strong performances struggle to hold it together. What makes this identity crisis especially frustrating is that Landman still has all the ingredients for greatness. The cast is strong. The world is rich. The themes, power, greed, loyalty, legacy, are timeless. But Season 2 often treats those themes like interchangeable parts instead of a cohesive foundation. At its core, Landman was never supposed to be about spectacle. It was about people making impossible choices in an unforgiving industry. Season 2 risks losing that soul by chasing too many ideas at once. Instead of trusting its original premise, it keeps expanding outward, diluting what made the show compelling in the first place. If Landman doesn't course correct soon, the danger isn't just a messy season, it's a loss of trust. Audiences will follow a show through darkness, moral ambiguity, and uncomfortable choices, but only if the show knows where it's going. Right now, Season 2 feels like it's wandering. An identity crisis doesn't mean a show is broken. It means it's at a crossroads. Landman Season 2 has to decide whether it wants to be a focused character study again, or a sprawling ensemble drama driven by plot twists. Trying to be both is what's causing the cracks. And until it chooses, every big decision, no matter how dramatic, will continue to feel smaller than it should.